Today we'll take a look at side hustles. I'm not going to promote mindless hustling at a cost of your health, because it isn't something I believe in. At the same time, you wouldn't be watching this very video if I hadn't decided 2 years ago to start it. So let me share with you my tried and tested method on how to arrive at that's it. This is what I'm gonna do. Welcome back to All the Honeys. I'm Marta and it's great to have you here. Without any fluff, let's get straight to it. My first rule of any type of side hustle is this. It needs to fit your lifestyle. If you're going to lose hours of sleep or will have to drastically change how you live, you're giving yourself an unhealthy job, not getting a side hustle. And I'm guessing you already have a job. This is not what this video is about. In my experience as a designer, money coach and YouTuber, to decide what side hustle will work for you best, you need to consider what I call the 6 S. Scale, self, skill, staff, schedule, and salary. They act similarly to filters you use when shopping online for anything, your favorite shoes or a house. Scale. This one is fairly straightforward. Do you want your side hustle to be active, meaning you exchange your time for money, or passive? If you want it to be passive, you need to be prepared to initially, and that initially could be a long stretch of time, put a lot of active work in anyway. But if you don't mind, you're standing a far bigger chance of creating an asset. So something that won't just give you income now, but also in the future. Remember, owning assets is what accelerates your financial freedom. I always tell my clients this: don't worry if your preferred side hustle is active income. Not everybody needs to be a business owner, entrepreneur, blogger, or a coach, okay? Just make sure that you buy assets with that extra income. So invest in the stock market, for example. This way, you're still getting the benefit of owning an asset, even if it wasn't created by you. Self. Nothing is fixed. Your behaviors and habits can change if you're willing to consistently show up for that change. If you don't believe me, I encourage you to read this book by Carol Dweck. However, nothing worse than saying one thing and then inserting a huge however right after. However, when you explore the territory of side hustles, I suggest you consider one thing with regards to your personality. How introverted or extroverted you are. If being around people energizes you, you're far more likely to enjoy a side hustle that is based on teamwork, communities, networking, showing up in person, showing your face on social media, and so on. If you're more introverted, you will be attracted to working on your own and doing exactly the opposite of what an extrovert does. Now I can already hear you say, I'm an extroverted introvert or an introverted extrovert. This isn't about labels, but about playing to your strengths and preferences. So treat it like a scale from 0 to 100, where 100 is extroversion, and place yourself on that scale. This will be one of the filters you apply to your side hustle search results. Skill. The next question to ask yourself is this: what do I already know? If you're working for somebody, they pay you for a set of skills. Maybe you can charge for the same set of skills doing freelance work. Or maybe you take only some of those skills and transfer them to your side hustle. Now, to those of you who believe they have nothing to offer and no skills whatsoever. There are over 7 billion people on this planet, and 5 billion are online. Ask yourself, do I truly believe that everybody knows what I know and can do what I do? Sorry to spoil it for you, but they don't. You do have something to offer. It's a question of properly scanning your skills and then finding what I call your crowd. So people who will find your skill valuable, Just like looking for a job, but with a much bigger pool of options to choose from. Now, there is a possibility you are aware of your shortcomings. You lack a certain skill, but you are willing to pick it up. Great. You have two options here. Either you decide to put the time in and make it on your own, or you get the missing skill by teaming up with somebody else. It could be a business partner, your friend, coworker, your son or daughter, spouse, or another family member. All up to you, as long as their skills complement yours and they are as committed as you to your side hustle and are exactly what you need at this point of time. A quick word about hobbies here. Many people decide to monetize their hobbies. In fact, from what I observe, there's a trend to monetize everything at the moment. I'm with Austin Kleon on this one, the guy who wrote this book. If you start making money from your art, resist the urge to monetize every element of the creative process. Be sure there's at least a tiny part of you that's off limits to the marketplace. Some little piece that you keep for yourself. Schedule. We all have commitments and roles in our life. They all demand our attention. Realistically, how much time can you give your side hustle? If you want it to be limited to your working hours, for example, can you become one of the people who have two jobs at the same time? It's not for everybody, but there are employees who do it. In fact, whole communities exchange tips on how to manage such a scenario. The rule here is make sure one of the jobs is less demanding than the other, or even part-time. Personally, as a freelancer, I worked 2 contracts simultaneously, and short term, it was absolutely fine. If your employment contract doesn't allow such a setup, you can still freelance, but yes, your job does need to be at least partly remote for it to work. Outside of your so-called office social hours, how much time are you willing to give your side hustle? Tens of minutes here and there, additional employment, stretches of time in your social hours. Your schedule will let you determine which side hustles are better suited for you. Keep in mind one thing, chunking up huge amount of work can help you use small amounts of time. My boyfriend is a master of this. He just works whenever he gets a minute, not paying attention to how long a task will take as a whole. That way he pushes things forward every time he sits down to work on his side hustle. And as much as I believe in getting into flow, so that state when you forget what time it is because you're so absorbed in whatever you're doing, once you have children, for example, your schedule changes so much that you only get pockets of time here and there. And it's much better to accept that and work in quick bursts on your side hustle instead of not working at all. Staff. Staff is something often overlooked by people who want to have a side hustle. It's not the same as skill. You might be able to drive, for example, but not own a vehicle. So certain side hustles that require you to own one will mean investing in a vehicle upfront. And this is true for pretty much all side hustles. Think of what you already have. When I was starting as a YouTuber, I already had a camera, a tripod, a set of lenses from my previous life as a photographer. So the choice was much easier for me. I always recommend my clients to start with what they already have and upgrade as they go along. Remember that needing to buy stuff in the first place is often an artificial obstacle. You could be unconsciously afraid of failure, for example, so concoct this idea of needing some high-tech equipment in order to do something. And that is rubbish, so do recognize it for what it is. Don't believe me? Well, how do you explain people who make so much money on TikTok? Assume you have, if not everything, then at least most of what you need. Another thing I'd mention in this is space. Do you need a desk or an extra room for your side hustle? And finally, do you need silence? These things really do matter when you decide on what to do, which side hustle to choose. Think laterally here. Like I said, starting from the position of, I have this in some shape or form or another, and go from there. And if not, if no, you don't have it, but absolutely must have it, a good example here would be not having a criminal record check when you want to start babysitting. Be prepared to get it. Consider it though. Staff is simply another filter to narrow down your search. Salary. And finally, salary. You might think that a money coach would start with this, but hey ho, there's a reason for that. When you're choosing a side hustle, ask yourself how much money you'd like it to generate. An extra £200 to help you with the energy bills, or £1,000 to put into your investment account. Finally, maybe something that will cover all your essential expenses. This figure will make it easier for you to see what definitely won't work. It could be initially hard to predict how much money a side hustle can make you. Whatever options you're considering, chances are somebody has already done it before you and shared their profits, their results, and their how-to somewhere online. So often it's a matter of finding that information. As a side note, I could say be bold, go wild with your salary predictions. They're the reasons you're looking for a side hustle, so that's the only thing that matters. But the truth is, this filter doesn't work on its own. Just like when you look for a house to buy or rent on Zoopla. Price is important, but you're very likely to filter your results by more than that. That is it, guys. That is how you choose a side hustle. If you're keen on finding one that works for you, you can find a cheat sheet to my 6S method in the description of this video right below. I use it when working out the best side hustle with my clients, so go and download it and do a little bit of thinking and some decision making, and do let me know how it went for you. And now I'm off to have some jollof rice at my boyfriend's family home, and so no more talking. Enjoy whatever you're doing after this. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you soon.